Hey guys, today's project is based on a concept art that I had found from a person named Vin Hill. He made the concept art for The Last of Us Part 2 as like a menu screen. I really loved the video game, and when I saw this I thought it would be a lot of fun and a fairly simple diorama to try and recreate. So to make the cement wall, I really just decided to start going in with a bunch of different colors and techniques and fiddled around until I got something that I liked. So I used a natural sponge to sponge on different colors, used some pigment powders, some washes, and also brought it all back together a couple times with an airbrush. Then I used a lot of different streaking washes, and I've kind of decided that I needed more granularity and even smaller detail, so I tried a technique that I hadn't done before. Unfortunately, the footage was lost for that part, so here's what I kind of did. With a really low pressure of the airbrush, you can get this speckling pattern, and so I did this with a couple different colors and built that up. Then I did a flicking technique with just paint on a brush and flicking it off my hand so that it randomly splatters. And I did this with different colors as well, especially like a white color. And then I also used a paper towel to streak down some of these random blots. I added some more streaks by hand and then brought it all together with a couple different colors from an airbrush, especially like this nice green color. The Last of Us games just have so much nature taking back over, and so there's a lot of green colors, and this was really going to be kind of nature taking back over as well. So for the ground, I started grinding some potting soil and dead leaves and started gluing them on as the base underlayer. To make that baseboard for the wall, I took a piece of balsa wood and started weathering it with a wire brush, and then added some deeper gouges with this sculpting tool. I want to thank everybody that left great comments in the last video after I talked about burnout and just the idea that everyone kind of experiences the same thing. I really appreciate that and the positive vibes, because there's definitely enough negativity already out there. Now to make the armchair. This is something that I am not good at, furniture and upholstery, and so I've really only done this once or twice, and anytime I'm doing something that I'm not that great at, I fail to film it very well, and so some of the angles aren't great here, but basically I started making the form with foam board and used quilt batting and fabric to start upholstering it. I definitely used a tutorial again from Bentley House Minis to help with this. After making more than a few mistakes and ungluing a couple things and changing the size and gluing them back together, I started to get this form of an armchair. I only put quilt batting in half of the seat to make it look like some of the stuffing has been pulled out, and then I took these pliers to rip a hole in it. Then it was time to start dirtying the thing up. I used brown pigment powder, a little bit of green mossy pigment powder, and used my watered down IPA to seal it in. I also used this black pigment powder in a few areas to make it look more moldy and dirty. Next was to start putting some glue down and using this green moss colored flock. While the glue for that dried, I 3D printed a boot that I had modeled myself. This is a little peek of what it looked like on my iPad in Nomad Sculpt. I sculpted this boot out and then 3D printed a couple sizes so I could see what fit my piece best. There is so much to learn when it comes to 3D sculpting, and I am really just a beginner. So I started painting these and knew I wanted a leather look, so I started with browns and then used a brush to pick out the bottom. Then I took this dark brown wash and put it all over the boot just to make it look kind of oily and worn. Back to the chair, I added a little more glue and a different color of flocking. This just adds variation and makes it look much more natural. I also added some to the baseboard and randomly on the ground just to blend in some of the colors and foliage. Then I started weathering the boot some more with screen paint and some white paint and let that dry. I knew I wanted to add some static grass, and so I put some spray glue down and added a layer of this dead grass that was only like 2 millimeters long. I sucked up the excess into some pantyhose in a vacuum, and then added another subtle layer of darker grass. Then I added a little more of that flocking right onto the grass to make it look like more little plant life. I didn't have little flowers for the boot, but decided to add this little piece of plant, growing right out of it like it's been there for quite a while. I was excited to add the vines because I knew that would start bringing it all together. I just started placing these in different places, growing up the chair and around on the ground. And then it was time for the guitar. I got this guitar on Etsy. I know it's only got 4 strings, but it looked really perfect for it. So I put some matte varnish over it to make it less shiny, used a little bit of paint to dull it, and then pigment powders and some more paint here on the strings to make them look a little less new. Then I decided to add a couple dead vines going up the wall on the side, and it was time to add the guitar and see the finished shots. Want to be on camera? I really enjoyed making this one as just a more simple project that I could get a little bit more ahead on my time this week after last project being so heavy. Thank you to all my patrons for supporting me each month, and for everybody that's dropped nice comments. It's just awesome to have the support on this channel that this community is, and I'm really excited to continue making new projects. If you do want to help support the channel even more, head over to my Patreon or to my website where I sell some of my 3D model STL files for you to download and 3D print. I'll see you next time.